Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to my science lab demonstration today. So today's lab will be focused on a couple of principles related to the human body. We're going to focus today on the nervous system and specifically how do cold temperatures impact the function of our nervous system. So, as a biology teacher at GWU OHS, one thing that matters a lot to me is not only the study of life science and the world around us, but also how does it directly impact us. And this is a lab that I found to be one that is awesome to try out. And it's truly a great way to see how your systems in your body are impacted by the environment around you. And as we enter a time of winter, of snow, of cold, I think this is going to be a great lab to test that. So you can see I have a couple materials laid out here for you. Super easy. You can just find these around the house. So I have 25 pennies. You could do more or less, but 25 is kind of a number that I've done in the past and it works pretty well. I have just an empty bowl or cup, and I'll explain what that's for later, and then a bucket or bowl of ice water. So here's the lab. We are going to perform a couple of trials. Trial number one, we are going to just get a baseline test of how fast can I move these 25 pennies into the bowl. How long does it take me? Super simple, no variables, just it's me getting a baseline. Then after that, I'm going to perform the same exact test related to pennies in the bowl, but I'm going to use the ice water. So I'm going to I'm just going to make my hand numb. So I'm going to stick my hand in the ice water for 2 or 3 minutes and then do the same exact experiment right away. And we'll see how numbness or the cold impacts the function of these fine motor skills. So go ahead and follow along with me. I'm going to go ahead and just perform the first baseline test. I have my timer here. We'll see how quickly I can do it. The pressure is on. Ready, set, go. So you notice my pennies were set up in a position where they weren't touching each other. If they are touching each other, that's going to impact the results of your experiment because it's a little bit harder to grab them when they're really close. I spread them out a random but decent amount. And time 24 seconds. Okay, so I was able to do that about a second a penny. So 25, I did it in 24 seconds. So now what happens next is I relay them out. Now you want the layout to be random. So you do not want the orientation of the pennies on your table or surface to impact the results. We're trying to limit extra variables because we truly just want to figure out, okay, how does the cold impact my nervous system and specifically the function of these tiny little skills of just grabbing and putting a penny in a bowl. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my hand in the ice water for 2 minutes. Now, I have my timer going here for 2 minutes. That is very cold. So a couple of things that we are going to talk about as I'm doing this. Really, what is going on with the cold? Like, what am I supposed to be feeling? What's the sensation? So when we think about what does cold do to our body, I think first all of us think about, ow, that hurts or it's really uncomfortable. But like ultimately, let's get down to the science of why is it uncomfortable? Well, a couple things are going on. First, let's talk about really the central nervous system. Your central nervous system is composed of your brain and your spinal cord. Think of these as like the command center. Your brain is going to be sending signals throughout the body that's going to trigger tiny little muscle contractions, which produces a result called shivering. That is a natural reaction our body has to try to produce warmth. So as my hand is in this cold water, I'm feeling the numbness and potentially I could shiver. Now my whole body's not cold. So if I was like outside in the 20-degree temperature, I would experience the shivering. My heart. Let's go to our heart. So what's going on with our heart? Our heart is going to start to beat faster and harder because when we get cold, our body is going to use blood to help get some heat around the body. So more blood being circulated from the heart. And then lastly, what's going on with my limbs? Because that's really what we're studying here. I have about 30 seconds left. Limbs. We could see shivering. I don't expect to see shivering in this lab, but what I do expect to feel is numbness. Numbness is that sensation where you just kind of don't feel anything anymore. You're going to losing that sensation, losing that accuracy of touch. And this is caused by our blood vessels are going to start to narrow as well. So I am almost at the 2-minute mark. Now, make sure you're watching for signs of hypothermia. You're not doing this for a crazy extended period of time, monitoring for any severe pain signals or anything like that. Just make sure you're keeping an eye on stuff like that. We do expect to see some redness. We expect to feel a little bit of pain, numbness, but not too much. Okay, I'm about at 2 minutes. Here we go. Let's see how fast can I do and move these 25 pennies again. Ready? I'm going to move it out of the water. Set, go. Timer's moving. So I'm already noticing I can still move them, but I'm just missing some accuracy. When I contact the table, it's not as fine of a touch. It's not as clear of a grasp with that penny. Now I'm starting by the end. I'm starting to get back to normal. My body's adjusting back to the room temperature. I don't feel as much of those cold symptoms. Still a little hurt, still a little cold, but not as bad. And time. Oh, and I missed. So 34 seconds this time. So what does that mean? 10 seconds greater than the previous trial. So to truly test these things, I encourage you to do multiple trials. So what I recommend you do is I recommend you do 3 baselines, take the average, and then 3 with the cold. So go in for 2 minutes, move the pennies, reset. Go in for 2 minutes, reset. You can also vary the time here if you want to go up to 3 minutes. But you can see even just with one trial, baseline took me 24 seconds. My ice cold hand took 34 seconds, showing me how the nervous system is impacted by the cold temperatures. Thanks for hopping in and tuning into today's lab demonstration. Feel free to try it out around the holidays and enjoy it with your family.